Grand Canal, the aorta of Venice, winding its way through the heart of the city. The easiest and cheapest way to experience the Grand Canal is to hop on Vaporetto number 1 from Piazzale Roma, if you arrive by road, or near the railway station, ferrovia in Italian. The Vaporetti are the water buses that travel along the larger canals and out to the Lido and other islands in the lagoon. We'll start our exploration of the Grand Canal at this bridge. There were only 3 bridges over the Grand Canal until a new and controversial bridge was added in 2007. Now, I wasn't there and haven't been there since 2006, so I didn't take this photo, I borrowed it. If you want to cross the Grand Canal and there isn't a convenient bridge, you'll need to look for a traghetto or ferry stop. Along the Grand Canal, the traghetti are the gondolas that ferry people across the canal. It's very cheap, so a chance to have a gondola ride without blowing the holiday budget. There are over 130 churches in Venice, but we won't be visiting all of them. This church of San Stai, St. Eustace, has a facade dating from 1709. The palazzi lining the Grand Canal were once the residence of the wealthy and powerful in Venetian society. The Palazzo Morosini Brandolin was built in the 15th century by the aristocratic Morosini family, but was later owned by the Brandolini. Palazzo Bernardo a San Polo is even older, dating from the 14th century. But as with most of these palazzi, it has been extensively modified. Many of the facades date from the 18th century. You can cross the Rialto Bridge by one of the walkways that run along each side for great views of the canal. Or you can stroll through the centre, checking out the jewellery shops. This palazzo is home to the second oldest business school in the world, founded in 1868. The university now also focuses on humanities and languages. This timber bridge over the canal was named for the Accademia di Belle Arti di Venezia, which from 1807 to 2004 was housed in the nearby Scuola della Carità, together with the Galleria dell'Accademia, which is still there. Since 1999, Palazzo Carli Franchetti has been the seat of the Istituto Veneto di Scienze, Lettere ed Arti. This institute actively promotes research in science, art and the humanities. The beautiful mosaics on this palazzo are made from Murano glass. Palazzo Salvietti was built more recently, 1906, as a shop. The Salvietti family were glassmakers and mosaicists from the island of Murano. As we swing around the final bend in the Grand Canal, the beautiful Basilica Santa Maria della Salute comes into view. Exiting the Grand Canal into the lagoon, we arrive at Piazza San Marco, the heart of Venice. The winged lion of St. Marco on top of one of these columns is the emblem of Venice, seen also here on this clock tower located on the northern side of the square. The Moors strike the bell every hour. The square was named after the remarkable Basilica di San Marco, located at the eastern end of the square. The basilica holds the remains of St. Mark, which were brought to Venice from Alexandria in the 9th century. The current church, however, dates from the 11th century. The interior was decorated over several hundred years, Thus there is a variety of artistic styles evident. These bronze horses were stolen from Constantinople, now Istanbul, during the Fourth Crusade. Adjacent to the basilica, but also looking out over the lagoon, is the Palazzo Ducale, the Doge's palace. The Doges were the rulers of the Venetian Republic for over 1,000 years, until its fall in 1796. The palace also served as a courthouse, and following sentencing, prisoners would be taken across the Bridge of Sighs to the adjacent jail. And this is not Venice. It's a 1/3 scale model of the Palazzo Ducale and San Marco. On the first Sunday in September, the Venice Historical Regatta is held. There are races on the Grand Canal and this parade of historical boats. The island of San Giorgio Maggiore is home to the monastery and church of the same name. The monastic buildings are now home to the Cine Arts Foundation. The Snail's Staircase is attached to the palazzo of the Contarini family and provides a great view over the city. This area is named for the 7 martyrs who were resistance fighters being held by the Germans towards the end of the Second World War. They were executed in front of a large crowd of forced observers in retaliation for a missing German soldier whose body later turned up in a canal, having fallen in drunk. A great way to experience Venice away from the hustle and bustle of the Grand Canal and San Marco is to wander along the Fondamenta, the footpaths that run alongside the many small canals that crisscross the city. Of course, if you're lazy and have a generous holiday budget, then you can do it in style in the gondola. The Venetian arsenal was a large armoury and shipbuilding area, occupying 45 hectares, or about 15% of Venice. When Venice was a great naval and maritime trading power, this was the largest industrial complex in Europe. Cannaregio district was the area where the ghetto was established in 1516. Jews were forced to live in this area and were only allowed in the rest of the city during the day. The English word ghetto derives from this original ghetto. The Venice Carnival, held in February, is famous for the elaborate costumes and masks. Back at Piazza San Marco, we can hop back on Vaporetto number 1, but instead of going back down the Grand Canal, we can head across the lagoon to the Lido, the narrow strip of land separating the lagoon from the Adriatic Sea. You can also get here on a car ferry, and it's the only part of Venice that you can drive around. But a better way to see it is on a four-wheeler bike, which you can hire. The small island of San Lazzaro was a former leper colony but became an Armenian monastery in 1717. It's a centre for Armenian culture. Another island in the lagoon is Burano, famous for its colourful houses and the fine lace made here. No, you're not imagining it. That bell tower really does have a substantial lean. And this is not Pisa. The island of Murano is best known for the beautiful glass that is made there.